Hello and welcome to yet another episode of A Day in Film. It is your host, the Patinator, as always, in a very different medium, I'm sure you've realized by now. Before we jump into this next episode of the Spooky Cast, I have to ask you to support the channel. We are growing at a rapid rate. Obviously YouTubers have grown it faster, but if you want to be able to say you were there before I was famous, then subscribe right now. Be in the under 200 club. But with all that out of the way, let's jump into the movie. So today, on October the 8th, which lands on a Tuesday, I watched Wicked City, directed by Yoshiaki Kawahiri, or Kawahiri, something like that. This is an animated Japanese film from the late 80s. I'm a very big fan of the animation style of this time period, and I have to say I was I went into this film really not expecting much. Someone who I follow on Letterboxd gave it a 5 out of 10, so I wasn't expecting a masterpiece or anything, but I was expecting, if not a scary movie, at least a good one, and I'd say I got exactly that. I'd say I got a good movie. To summarize the plot, this movie follows one or two people, I think they're called the Black Guard. This movie follows two members of the Black Guard who are dedicated to protecting high priority clients from both the human world and the demon world. And it follows these two, one's a demon and one's a human, and it follows their journey protecting this main dude, a mystic, who's there to sign another peace treaty to last for another 500 or so years. So automatically the concept had me very interested. I'm a big fan of movies that are kind of about demons in the real world, and more like, instead of just being super totally evil, like more disguised, I want to say realistic, but it's not really realistic, interpretations of demons, and this movie does pretty much exactly that. There are negatives to this movie. I only gave it a 6 out of 10 personally, but let's go over what I really did like. To start, the music is A1. This is the perfect 80s anime aesthetic. There are so many things in this movie, so many just animation moments, especially the car. I don't know what car they drive, I'm not a car guy, but if you know, you probably recognize that same GIF from whatever it may be, because I mean it's like it's just the way it's animated, the way it looks, the late 80s kind of dirtiness of just the way they animated back then in Japan. The animation, again, is also something that's really great. The voice actors are very talented. There's a lot of very good voice acting in this movie, especially the main two and the guy that they're protecting. I think they're really good. I like a lot of this movie, but what ends up being the biggest downfall to this movie is its story. This film struggles a lot with trying to keep a consistent narrative. It has that same, not problem, but just thing about older Japanese anime, that it's not feature length. This movie's only like an hour 20 minutes or something. It kind of reminds me, Perfect Blue is only like an hour 13, and Ghost in the Shell is only like an hour 20 or something. A lot of movies like that in this era were just not very long, which is okay, but a movie like this, with the twist that it has at the end, which I won't spoil because I think you should watch this movie if you're a fan of Japanese animated movies, it has that same problem where it doesn't do enough to expound upon its base ideas, which I really would have appreciated more of, because the idea that it carries with it, or that just kind of spawns into the end, is very interesting. But that idea that they do bring in is not built up to very well at all, and unfortunately it just left me kind of, not unimpressed, but just not huge. It didn't feel like as big of a revelation as it really shoulda. It just felt like oh, that's where it was going kind of thing, and I don't think that's a problem with my investment in the movie. I think it's a problem with the story that they were trying to tell. This movie is also very horny. It makes sense because it's about demons, but this movie does not shy back on the nudity. There are plenty of nude anime characters, and there's a lot of really cool, especially from the demon side of the movie, there are a lot of cool, like, not character things, but just animation moments, like where the chick starts melting, things like that. A lot of cool moments, like the spider lady with the teeth, cooter. There are just a lot of really cool moments in this movie, which I really do appreciate. I don't think I have much more to say. Again, the story is not very good, but everything else around the movie is pretty good. The characters are also written overall pretty poorly, which I'm not huge on. This is a movie that needs to be watched, just like a lot of movies from this era need to be watched. Ghost in the Shell. What was the other one I said a couple minutes ago? Well, I'm forgetting now. But whatever one I said a couple minutes ago, definitely check those out. This movie should be checked out as well, as I already said. And if you can't tell, I'm very nervous because I've never done it in front of the camera like this before. But with all that out of the way, I don't really have much more to say. It's a 6 out of 10, a bona fide 6 out of 10. Not very scary, but I'll take what I can get. But with all that out of the way, I hope you have a wonderful day, and I will see you in the theaters.